it me?
Yes.
I'm actually going to put McFarland on the spot because I think Peoria had a model called Build Peoria where we was doing something, and we could probably tweak that program, especially with the jobs program being talked about in DC. I would think that if we would start, now that we're working with the call to action to get our model together, I would believe that in that jobs program, there should be some funding for a program like the Build Peoria that McFarland is going to talk about how our new program could be.
There's in the capital bill that was signed last year, there's $425 million in a program called Urban Weatherization. And at one point in time, Christian Family Center had a training program because the guy who was our housing services manager who passed used to do the training for inmates at, I think it was Hannah City at the time. He would bring work crews into Peoria and they would actually work and rehab homes that Christian Family Center owned. So we're taking a look at this urban weatherization program to see if there's a way that we could potentially train individuals to do energy efficiency kinds of activities, put together several crews. They haven't let us know when the money is going to be available, but that to me is an avenue to pursue and put folks to work.
Well, maybe in addition to that, I'm thinking even a new model could be where we say where the money is. We use CBDG money with Build Peoria, right? Along CBDG, along with money from the Pew Foundation. What if we had a Build Peoria 2020 where we could get some jobs money for building sidewalks, and we implemented it and helped the people that were in this population. So that's something that is possible to take money that we already have coming for infrastructure, couple it with some money from a jobs program, and then target it in the area that needed it the most. At the same time, use it to help people that were unemployed. And the Build Peoria was unemployed, underemployed individuals or disenfranchised. So that's what you had to have to meet the program enrollment criteria. What that does, it helps us to help Peoria from the bottom up. You're basically getting the worst of the worst and helping them not to have to be unemployed so they don't have to go back into the system. So I think the Build Peoria model revised would be something that is a plausible solution.
And I'm new to this area, so I have a question. My question is, has there been studies and have you determined, we're talking about jobs, which is wonderful, but a lot of times, employers don't like post office boxes or, care of the Peoria Southside Ministries, not throwing stones, but they don't like that on a resume. So have you done any kind of studies? Do we have numbers as to how important housing is?
Housing is probably the most difficult thing for an ex-offender to obtain other than employment. I think those are the two main things. And no, there hasn't been a lot of studies done on, as far as I know, as how hard it is to find housing. The majority of ex-offenders usually return back to their families, do couch hopping, things along those lines. And
let's try to define what we mean by parent involvement. Not what we don't have, what would you say? What is good parent involvement? What would it look like if you had good parent involvement? What would it look like? Okay, young lady.
advocating for your child.
The person, you would advocate for your child.
What she basically said was, what happened, my wife and daughter teachers, and when they have appointed parents conferences, 24 kids, you get 3 parents. We need parents, whenever they have parents, teachers, conferences, that school should be full.
Okay.
How do we do that? And most of the complaints are, I don't have transportation, or I can't get there. And that really needs to be, when we ask for the parents to come to an event, whether it's school, whether it's community, the parents need to be there.
Okay.
How do we get that happen? And we need to knock down these excuses that I don't have time or I don't have transportation. Because it's very important that parents be involved. Even if you just be there, show up.
Okay.
Your child is dealing drugs, for you to say, no, that's not acceptable, it's, and to look for help, looking for help doesn't show weakness, that shows strength. And that's what parents don't understand. Parents think that if you have to go to counseling, and this is a lot of problems we have with our parents, they think that counseling means you're weak. And what we try to empower our parents with is that going for help means you're showing strength, that you recognize the problem and you want to see a solution. And that's what we need to do. We need to empower our parents to learn that going for help is a strength.
Okay,
not
and
a
start
weakness.
saying, okay, I agree with you on that. Yes, sir.
But how do we can sit in these rooms and write down all these things on the board, but how do we as a group, it's the parents that aren't here that we got to worry about.
Right.
How do we communicate to them parents that of all these things we're saying? Because we're saying this here, but we need to find out
What
how.
would you say we need to do to get in touch with those parents? What do we need to do to get in touch with the parents who are not here who need the services? What do we need to do?
Well, some of the services, just like when you were talking about the bus and everything, we need to learn in this community what form of communications do we have to get to parents. A lot of parents don't read newspapers.
Okay.
A lot of parents don't listen to radio.
They won't read the flyers.
So what do we have? We have to know when we communicate with parents at. If it's the barbershop, if it's the church,
Okay,
we find out lines
barbershops
of
to
communication.
communicate.
Yeah, we
Barbershop,
find,
what else? Barbershop,
Shop,
we're talking about the last
churches.
one. Churches, barbershop.
what we
else?
need to do is find out where the parents are going and
Okay.
then learn to get the communication to them. Even if they're going to the Elks, I tell you what, when they come out of the Elks, on their car would be a note.
We talked about that last night. You're saying it, but that's it. We have
Yeah,
to
right.
get the information where the parents are.
Know your criminal.
Yes.
And go get it. You know the parent. If you know the parents are a big source of this problem, then we find out where they go.
We do a really good job at the birth to 3 primary age of coaching and guiding parents on developmental needs and how to provide proper nutrition. As a parent, I know as my kids got older, that loosened up a little. Maybe I wasn't watching as closely, but I think given the health needs that are becoming so apparent with our kids, and it has an impact most definitely on behavior and some of those dysfunctional things that the destructive behaviors that you see at the college age, I think health is directly tied to that. So if there's any marriage to be had between us and parents and health providers and social and school and nutrition, I think that would be an area I'd like to see.
Design of Glen Oak and Harrison, half the square footage, half is designed for agencies like Friendship House to go to the schools, to be there for families. And I think that is the critical next step in terms of saving our kids. The other thing I really want to push for is service learning. Now, service learning is something that is bandied about as volunteerism. True service learning, volunteerism is the third step. True service learning is taking children. I see children at Friendship House after school who by the time they are 5 or 6 or 7 have learned to be helpless. And when you are helpless, you are hopeless. And that drives all your behavior. And true service learning is about taking a child, pointing them in the direction of a problem, and saying, how can you, if you are a 4-year-old seeing what happened in Haiti, what is within your power to make the situation better? I'll tell you a true story. I told it to Barack Obama the day after he won the primary to run for the Senate in Illinois. It was Black History Month, and my kids saw a movie about the civil rights movement, and there was a discussion that there were people, both black and white, who died so that African Americans had the right to vote. My teacher gave a very simple assignment. She said, go home and ask the people that are raising you if they voted in the last election.